Hi, this is Denise Matthew, and welcome to episode 57 of the Mandala of Life, 365 Days to Self-Discovery. Today we're moving away from logical collective energy and the patterns of life that can lead to mastery to tribal energy and the will center, whose responsibility is to provide abundance, resources, and the material needs of the tribe. The responsibility of the Gate 26 is to gather support, to some way catch the attention so that you can make a sale to support those people who matter the most to you. This is the role of a salesperson, whose job is to make the sale so that the factory or the people who are making the products can continue to thrive. But since this is ego energy, balance is always needed to get it just right. And if that happens, a sale can be made and the wealth and abundance of the tribe can be maintained. Other than the channel 2551, all channels that come from the will center are connected to abundance and resources and in some way providing for tribal support. And since tribal energy is all about support and abundance, that means there's a lot of pressure on the will center to provide or to come through with the abundance that's required for the tribe to survive. But just like all energy, the will center has limitations. The limitation here is that as much as you're out selling, making deals, manifesting abundance, there's a need to have rest, and that's why it's called a work to rest center, which means that you can go out, do your work that you need to do, but then you need some downtime, some time to be away from work and to relax and renew so that you can go once again out to achieve the abundance that you need to survive. So this would be considered the transmitter. So in other words, the Gate 26 is out in the world trying to get attention and trying to show people why the product that they have to sell is worthwhile. The Gate 26 is also half of the channel 2644, tribal creative channel, and for that reason it has a lot of responsibility to get out there and to get things right, to create abundance through their ability to sell the new and improved, whatever that looks like. But not only do they have to sell, there's a need to sell something that is better than what people have already. So in other words, it has to be an upgrade of some sort. And for that reason, exaggeration can be part of this energy, because only with the words best, the most impressive, the only one you'll need, will people start to align with the energy and potentially decide to make a purchase. Sometimes, however, this exaggeration can lead to over-the-top promises that are not based in reality, and that's why this energy can sometimes be called the trickster. But before we get into new content, let's quickly go over what we talked about in our last episode. In our last episode, we talked about the Gate 5 and how it's half of the channel, the 515, which talks about the flow of life. When we have the hanging Gate 5, it is about patterns and routines and habits that we make so eventually we can master something that we've decided to master. This is logical collective energy, so mastery only comes after repetition, habits, and repeating the same thing over and again until you finally become the best in what you can do. But because of the limitations of a human body, there's always a need to have rest and to schedule in times where you're not working, where you're not repeating the same thing over and again, so that eventually you can become an expert in your field. For anybody who has a hanging Gate 5, routines, patterns, and habits are very important to maintain your health and to have an ability to align with your own personal flow. And only when you align with your personal flow do you find the opportunities that are specifically made for you. Although there may be people who want to change the energy or the routines of somebody who carries the Gate 5, it's important and for your best interest to maintain what feels right for you, the natural rhythm that comes with just being yourself and allowing the flow of what you need to express itself exactly how it wants to. And if you want to find out more about the Gate 5, please check out episode 56 of the Mandala of Life. With that said, let's get into new content. And please feel free to check out the other episodes of the Mandala of Life. The 4426, or the channel of the transmitter, is an extremely important channel, not only because of the abundance that it can bring to people around you, but it's also important for your health. So when you are aligned with getting the abundance that you need and selling things in a way that it's in integrity and also in a way that both people are benefiting from the sale. You're benefiting because you're getting abundance from the sale, and the person that is purchasing something from you is also getting a good product that is actually worth the value that they're paying for it. So when that happens and everything's in integrity, then that's when this energy is the healthiest for anybody. Really, the person that's buying, it's going to be healthy for them when they get something that they really want and they like, and it improves their life in some way. And you're healthy because you're actually selling something that is good for them, but also you're getting the abundance that you want. So if we think about the will center and we remember that it's actually called the ego center, we know that our egos can be injured in some way, or we can feel as if when we're rejected that it is almost a painful experience where it's hard to kind of come back from it after that's happened. And that's the reason why the will center or the ego center is considered one of the most resilient energies, in that when you are unable to make the sale, or in this case, to get the attention of somebody so that you could make the sale, then that is sort of a rejection. But what happens is, instead of feeling as if you've been rejected as an individual, it's the concept of understanding that it's about sales energy. It isn't about you, and not everything is going to hit the mark. And that's just the nature of how we sell as a society and how we buy things. Not everything that you're going to sell is going to be able to have that person buy it. But the whole key with the energy of the will center and abundance, or the energy of this transmitter, is this idea that you will get sales and then you have a rest where you're not doing it for a little while. It's almost a time to recoup and to gain your balance again, because rejection can be a difficult thing as a human race for us to deal with. But because you have the will center, there's an ability to be able to work with that energy, to understand that the good times when people are actually wanting to buy what you have to sell are the times when things go well for you, and you can kind of glide on the energy of the sale that you made. And that's kind of what this energy is about, where you have a sale and you let it go for a little while, you have your space and time, and then another time you'll have another sale. And because of this energy of trying to sell products to people and not always getting it to work, it's important to build in leisure time, or time when you're away from this energy, where you're actually kind of taking care of yourself and you don't have this responsibility of having to pressure yourself to try and get some sales. So when you have the balance of going out and working and then coming back, then that is a perfect balance for anybody with the will center, or the defined will center, which would be the case with the 4426 channel. This also is very connected to your health, and also the thymus center and the T cells. The T cells are connected more with the gate 26, and the T cells are really about eliminating anything that is in your way, or destroying the old so that something new can replace it. And that's what this energy is all about, replacing the old with something new. It's also considered a projected channel, which means that it doesn't have a direct connection to the throat, which adds this concept that in order for you to properly make a sale, or to be received in the way that you want to be, being acknowledged or even invited to give your sales pitch, you could say, will really work to your advantage, and that people are open to what you have to say. And it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to make the sale happen, but it does mean that at least you're going to have the best opportunity to actually make it happen for you. This is actually energy that if you're making money and you're being paid for what you do, then that's generally when you're going to be more healthy. In fact, that's the thing about the will center with all the channels, except maybe the 2551, is that it's a requirement that if you have a defined will, being paid or making abundance is quite important to maintain the health of who you are, but especially with the channel 2644, because it connects directly to the spleen. But since we're talking about the gate 26 today, let's talk about the hanging gate 26. In many ways, the gate 26 can get a bad rap, in that there is this ability to get carried away, to exaggerate, to sometimes bend the truth or change it into something that is more likely to get the sale. So there's a lot of pressure to get the energy right, to actually get the sale across. And so because of that, there's this aggressive need potentially to want to get something across, to actually get this to happen. And that's why sometimes when we have the hanging gate 26, there can be an aggressiveness within this energy that needs to be tempered in some way. The gate 44 is the perfect tempering for this energy. But if we don't have the gate 44, then the other way to work with the energy is to some way release it in a physical way. So a lot of times when you have the hanging gate 26, some kind of a sport or something where you're actively releasing that aggression in some healthy way can help the energy to move in a different way so that it's not necessarily getting built up and then you get too aggressive, or you maybe want to get a sale so desperately that you get to the point of pushing so hard that people just don't want to buy what you have to sell because it comes across as too much. So that's the whole point, is to mitigate this energy, to understand that it can be over the top and too much sometimes, which means there could be a need to pedal it back and to unhook from forceful intention or need to get a sale to happen. If we remember that the gate 26 is called the taming power of the great, again, that's one more reminder that it needs to be tamed or to be moderated or to be mitigated in some way so that we have the finesse and it's getting across the way we want to, so we can have the maximum potential to get the sale to happen, which is really the best case scenario for this type of energy. And since we know there's duality in all energies, that remains the same here. When you carry this energy, you can be the epitome of integrity, or you can be somebody who spins a lot of tales to get the job done. And though exaggeration to get the sale across and have people more interested in what you have to sell can be perfectly okay, there's always a fine line between exaggeration and not telling the truth at all. And when you do find the balance between the two, then that is the sweet spot where you can get the sales that you want to have happen, and you can also stay completely within your integrity. And it's also important to keep in mind that though you can push ahead and try to continue to work through the energy and to not take a break and to not have any downtime, usually what happens is you eventually can get burnt out. So that's why it's vital and important for your own health to maintain a balance between getting out into the world and making the sale, and also having the downtime that you need to recoup and regenerate yourself. This is the 7th gate of the Quarter of Mutation, where purpose is fulfilled through transformation. And when we look at it from a bigger perspective, or what we could say the global economy, the gate 26 is extremely important in how our global economy runs, in that it is all related to the hierarchy of the sales. So for instance, if you have the gate 26 and you're the salesperson, then you would be the person that would have more leisure time than the people who are behind the scenes working to make the products that you're actually out there selling. So it's this hierarchy of the tribal energy, and it's the hierarchy of how we as a society of the global village, you could say, value the things that people bring to the table. So for instance, when we have sales energy, that's considered something that is more specialized and vital, because if we don't get the sales to actually sell the items from the factories that people are making the items at, it doesn't actually work. So we need to have the sales. That's really important to be able to make those deals so that the products that are being manufactured can be actually brought out into the world and sold as well. And a bigger theme in the world economy is this idea of status. In other words, the more status that we have is based on the products that we are able to purchase. Though the status is not necessarily something that we can say is a fair way of classifying the value of people, it's something that's done all the time, especially with designer brands that are considered more luxurious, where celebrities and also people who have abundance and wealth are known for the status because of the designer brands that they actually are able to purchase and what they wear. And people will look at them and think that they are higher quality or at a higher echelon than other people because of the luxury brands that they're able to purchase. It really is this idea of keeping up with the Jones, always trying to have something better than your neighbors. And that's where we can get into this greed, materialism, and the downside to the energy of the gate 26, where we're always looking to look better than somebody else. Where in fact, the whole key with this energy is it's about winning. We're always winning. When somebody's getting something good and we're getting something good, it's a win-win. And as Richard Rudd says, intention lies behind everything you do and say in life, which means that if your intentions are to be the best individual, to be in integrity, to sell the things that are going to somehow improve humanity and better the world in some way, then that's when the power of what you have to offer to the world and the high integrity concepts, ideas, spiritual beliefs that you bring to the world can in some way align and increase the vibration of humanity itself. And when we learn how to use the energy of our will center and the power that we inherently have within us, and see that when we are acting in integrity, knowing that when we all win together, the world is a better place, the mandala of life turns again, and we move into the energy of peace. This is the gate 11, the gate of ideas, half of the channel of curiosity, where there is a possibility to have the awareness to visualize a realization. Well, that's all for now, and I'll be back soon with episode 58, the gate 11, the design of a searcher. Until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon.